It's May 31st, 2013, 6:03 p.m. About 8.3 miles southwest of El Reno, Oklahoma. People are outside, going about their everyday lives. Little did they know. Violent tornado, EF5 rating, would rip through their town. Would kill 8 people. There'd be $40 million in damage, and some wind speeds were measured of above 295 miles per hour. The National Weather Service said this was the most dangerous tornado in storm observant history. Thank goodness this did not go through any of the main town areas. It went through more farm areas, but still 8 dead, 151 injured. It's pretty bad. Tornadoes can happen anywhere. Can happen here, can happen at your house. That's why it's always good to be prepared for these situations. So my credibility is I am a National Weather Service storm spotter, as well as a Skywarn storm spotter. I went through some training and stuff to further my knowledge in this area. Okay. So we're going to move into tornadoes. Tornadoes are defined as a violently rotating column of air. Basically what you have is you have warm and moist air getting forced upwards, and that meets the cold and dry air. And then you have instability, which creates thunderstorms, which creates tornadoes. And here's a picture just demonstrating, basically you have a supercell thunderstorm right here. So it's not just a regular thunderstorm, it's a supercell thunderstorm with an anvil on the top. It is shaped like an anvil, that's the name anvil. Sometimes you'll see an overshooting top on that, which means it's even more powerful. Then you have your mesocyclone, your mid-level winds, your lower level winds, and then your tornado. Okay, so this is the, what you call tornado alley. This is where you will see most of the most intense tornadoes. As you can see, Oklahoma right there, bullseye. Now, this doesn't mean that you won't ever see a tornado over here, or you won't see a tornado here, because you do. It just means the most intense tornadoes occur in Tornado Alley. And the reason for that is because you have your warm, moist air coming up from the Gulf, and your cold, dry air coming down from the Rockies. Okay, so I'm just going to go over this quickly for the sake of time. This is the enhanced Fujita scale. So EF0 would mean you have like shingles blown off from a smaller tornado. EF5, that means, for example, the El Reno tornado, you would have major damage. So you could see basically where a house used to be, but the house was completely gone because the tornado ripped it apart. Also going to go over watch versus warning. So tornado watch is issued by the National Weather Service. This means that there is a chance that you might see tornadoes later on in the day. This does not mean there's one currently on the ground. Tornado warning means there's a tornado currently confirmed by radar or a person, a spotter, that saw one on the ground, and this is when you need to take cover. Okay, going back to El Reno. Conditions were favorable for this today. So there was a tornado watch issued, and around 6:03 p.m. one formed, and it took this path. This is when it became the most intense, and it ended at 6:43 over there. Its path width, get this, 2.6 miles wide. So that's absolutely huge, greater than 295 mile per hour winds, and the entire length of the path was about 16.2 miles. I'm going to show you a quick video. This is Weather Channel meteorologist Mike Bettis. Okay, so you can see in the video, right here, that's a tornado. That's how big it is. So in order to save time here, I'm going to speed this up. He goes on to cut off the reception with the Weather Channel and say they need to get out of there. He actually took too long, and therefore this happened.
Hold on, brothers. Hold on. Everybody just go. Just keep going if you can. Keep going if you can. Everybody jump down.
You see the glass break? They start spinning, camera falls out and catches this angle. you can see the car rolling off in the distance. It rolled multiple times on the ground. They all survived. This is a picture of the car he was in. Okay, so he survived, but unfortunately, there were storm chasing deaths in this tornado, and Tim Samaras and his team, Twist X, were they thought they were safe, but the tornado kind of made a little comeback, and unfortunately, they all passed away in the tornado. Okay, going on to storm chasing. I'm going to go over some radar products. So the first one, this is reflectivity. This is like what you would normally see. This is all your rain, and that's right here. You can kind of see a hook shape, and that hook is what meteorologists call a hook echo. That's a clear definition of your inflow going into the storm, and your tornado would be centered right about there. This is another example. It's a little bit more difficult to see, but you can still see your inflow, your hook, and the tornado. This is a velocity product. Basically, so you have your radar station here. Red means that the winds are moving away from the radar station. Green means they're moving towards. If you have your red and green touching, that means you have rotation. So that's another way that storm chasers can discover that there's a tornado on the ground. This is correlation coefficient. Basically what it does is, if you're looking at a storm, you should see rain, and that would be the red. But if you see something in the middle of all this rain that's showing up as this blue color, that could be cars, houses, trucks. Basically it's showing you your debris, and that's a huge debris ball right there. That was multiple deaths in that storm. Okay, so for my closing, I'm going to go into something that hit a little closer than home. About 2 weeks ago, I was on my phone at like 11 p.m., I can't remember the exact time, and it started going off with a bunch of tornado warnings for Charleston County. I live in Charleston. And so I went on there and I saw a obvious hook echo. So a tornado was going near my house. So I called my family, got them in a shelter, and not in a shelter, in an interior, we have an interior closet, and they went inside of there. This was 10 miles away from where my house was. So if this doesn't prove to you that, you know, tornadoes can occur out of nowhere, sometimes with less than 5 minutes warning, then I don't know what does, because that was a pretty scary moment for me. I'm just going to give you another quick estimation. I estimated this myself. The tornado went in between these two lines somewhere. That little location dot is where I live. So it was pretty scary. So one thing to do is, if you were ever on a tornado warning, go to an interior room, away from windows, because the glass can just be shattered and thrown around everywhere. If you have a basement, that works even better. So also having your phones, like emergency notifications on, maybe possibly getting a NOAA weather radio, just to be safe. So, all right, thank you guys.